Welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America, where each episode we bring you a brand new interview with one of the film industry's top directors, conducted by one of their peers. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on Google Play Music, iTunes, Stitcher, or on our SoundCloud page at soundcloud.com/thedirectorscut. This episode takes us behind the scenes of director Barbara Kopple's new documentary, Miss Sharon Jones. Filmed in a cinema verite style, Miss Sharon Jones follows the R&B and soul singer Sharon Jones during the most challenging year of her life, when she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer just before the release of her album, Give the People What They Want. Forced to delay the release of her album and a planned tour, Ms. Jones began the fight for her life, struggling to keep her band together and doing everything she could to return to her true home, performing on stage. Anyone who has heard her music or seen this film was no doubt saddened to hear that Sharon Jones passed away the Friday before Thanksgiving at the age of 60. Following a DGA documentary series screening of the film in New York on November 4th, Ms. Kopple discussed directing Miss Sharon Jones with fellow director Shari Springer Berman. In addition to Miss Sharon Jones, Ms. Kopple's work includes the feature film Havoc, the documentaries Woodstock, Now and Then, Shut Up and Sing, and Wild Man Blues, and episodes of the series The Addiction Project and American Masters. We hope you enjoy hearing Ms. Kopple and Ms. Springer Berman discuss the making of Ms. Sharon Jones.
Hi, everybody. I'm Shari.
I'm Barbara. And thank you so much for coming.
Isn't that an incredible film?
Make
it more intimate. So we'll have a conversation, and then if you guys have any questions, we'll bring it to the audience. So how did you come to this story?
Well, Alex, her manager, decided, okay, it's time that people knew who Sharon Jones is. Maybe they knew one of her songs, 100 Days, 100 Nights. So he went to VH1 and he said, I want to do a film on Sharon Jones. And he pitched them and they said, okay. And that was Brad Abramson and Steve Mintz, who I had done a film with called Woodstock Now and Then. And so they called me up and they said, hey, Barbara, how would you like to do a film on Sharon Jones? And I said, are you kidding? I would love it.
So you were a fan beforehand?
No, I only knew one or two of her songs. Never met her, never saw her in concert, nothing. But I guess something about the way that she sings and who she is, I just really wanted to do it.
I have to admit, I didn't know her music at all, and now I'm like the president of her fan club after seeing.
Oh, she would embrace you immediately.
I would embrace her.
Anyway, so, there were no deals signed or no anything. And Alex just called and he said, I think you should go and film her right away. And I said, okay. And that was like a week later. And I went up, and the first time I filmed her, she was having her dreads cut and her head shaved. And I mean, it was a bond that was so incredible. And right after that, she went to the wig store and started cutting up, trying on all the wigs and being girlish and I don't like this, I don't want that. And I just knew she was just going to be the most beautiful, wonderful character ever. And I never thought through the whole film that anything bad would ever happen to her. I just always thought of her as totally making it. So it was never, is she going to make it? Is she not going to make it? In my mind, it was, what corner is she going to take me around next time? Yeah.
So you knew that she was diagnosed when you started
Yeah,
shooting.
they told me that she had a Whipple operation. So.
And did you decide before you made the film that it was going to be like more about her battle with cancer or more about her music, or you didn't know?
I didn't decide either way. I just went there, met her, saw this, knew that she was going to sing, and, you know, she was waiting for her concert in February, and everything was building up to that point.
So the first time you filmed her was that incredibly emotional scene where she's getting her hair cut.
Mm-hmm.
How was it for you to walk in and did you meet her prior to that?
Just saw her walking down the street. Nope. We just jumped right into it. Well, a lot of films and documentaries, and I know when you do documentaries, yes, which isn't that often anymore.
No, I want him more.
I'll trade. No. You sort of jump right in. I mean, in my film, Harlan County, one of the first days was, you know, on the picket line, and a guy got shot, you know, with a gun. And he was boasting around Harlan County 38 saying shit. So you just jump into people's lives and go from there. And I just think that if they're used to you and see you, you know, that you're going to be there filming them, but they can still talk to you and you're there for them. I think that's a good way to approach it.
Well, this was some of the most, it was an incredibly intimate film. You really, I think you filmed things that just, I don't know if I've ever seen like a person getting a CAT scan and being in the room when they're getting the results of their CAT scan. How did you do that? I was just thinking as a filmmaker, like, how did you do that crew-wise? What kind of a presence were you in the room when that was going on?
Well, before, you know, the hospital, we had gotten permission to do whatever we needed to do in the hospital. So we sort of had free range. And it was just camera or sound and me. It was very little. And so, and we made ourselves, you know, very small and disappeared, which you can do.
Was there ever a time when you felt like she was oppressed by the camera or didn't want it around?
Well, I know that sometimes, you know, we'd be saying, okay, we're going to come. And I could just feel her like rolling her eyes like, oh, them again. But once we were there, she was amazing. I mean, she wanted us there. She's a really open person. She wants her fans to know everything about her. She wants you to know everything about her. I just called her today and said, okay, I'm going to the DGA, and they're going to show your film, and then we're going to ask a few questions after. And she just said, oh, that's so exciting. I wish I was there. I mean, she loves it, and she loves to talk to people, and she's always the last to leave a screening. So
what was it like? I think, you know, having made a film about both a narrative, you know, non-documentary and a documentary about people that are around, like, one of the scariest things is when you show them the film. It's horrifying. What was it like the first time, and when did you actually, did you wait till the film was finished, or did she see footage?
She did not see one little tiny bit of footage. Her manager and Austin came in, and we said, do you want to see something? And they said, okay. So we showed them one or two scenes, and then I get excited if somebody likes it. Right. And I said, so do you want to see more? And they said, no, we have a meeting to go to. And so I said, okay, leave us alone, abandon us. And that was it. And then the film premiered, had its world premiere at the Toronto Film Festival. And all of the DAP Kings came, and Sharon, of course, and Sandra, and Star, and Alex, and Austin.
So they were all there.
They were all there, seeing it for the very first time.
Oh, wow, you must have been nervous.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I didn't look at the screen at all. I watched them, and Sharon tells these little jokes like, I'd be looking at the screen and I'd see Barbara's face in my way, because I didn't want to miss anything that she was doing. And people were laughing and crying and holding each other and hooting and hollering, and it was wonderful. And then at the end, everybody got up on stage, and I had everybody talk about what they felt about the film.
And what did they feel? What were they?
Well, Sharon said that it was extremely moving and extremely wonderful to see. Gabe said, "You got the music right." And it was wonderful things.
So great. So what is she doing now?
Well, she just finished a tour with Hall & Oates. But, she's not feeling well. Her cancer has come back. But she is tough, and she is, doing well. As I said, I spoke to her earlier today. I'm going to Cooperstown, New York, because she's nearby there right now, and they're going to be showing the film in Cooperstown, and so we're going to see each other next week. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and we talk all the time, and I talked to her manager. I saw him last night. There was the Broadcast Critics and Television Awards last night for documentarians. And her song won.
Yay! Bravo!
It was so great. It was so great. I'm still here. So it was wonderful.
Can any of this music be, like, is it valid for Academy?
Well, I think we're going to put the song in, and, I don't know about the soundtrack. That's not my place. It's the DAP King, so they'll see what they'll do.
Well, if anybody's members, vote for it.
And,
And did the movie do any kind of like outreach to other cancer patients? And because it's so inspiring.
Oh yeah, Sharon went and talked to a lot of different, places where people were survivors, and also lots of times if I would show the film, my shoulder would be wet from people just saying, we just loved it, and it gave us so much hope and so much good feeling about it. So yes.
Well, the other music documentary that you're very famous for is the Dixie Chicks. What was the experience like making this film versus that film?
Oh, well, the Dixie Chicks are these really strong women. And of course, they were really against the Iraq War.
Right.
And they said something very nasty about Bush that, he had embarrassed them. And suddenly all of country music got really angry at them and started throwing, their CDs away or their vinyl away, and they felt really ostracized. But what it did for them was it made them really strong as women, and it gave them a friendship that you would look at and you'd say, I wish I had friends that I was so tight with like that. And they got 9 Grammys. And when they first came to see the film, they saw it in my editing room. It wasn't mixed or, finished. It was just about, and they hadn't seen any of it, nor had anyone before. And, I sort of plied them with wine before. And it was my birthday, so I'll never forget it. And each one of them had a different expression. I mean, one of them, like Marty, had her legs up here, and, Emily sat with her arms crossed, and Natalie just looked right into the group. And at the end of it, Natalie touched Marty's leg, and she said, I never knew you would give up your whole career for me. I mean,
Oh.
so they learned things about each other, and they really liked it as well. The first time is always unbelievable. When I showed Harlan County for the first time, there was a possible distributor, which was Don Rugoff. And, you know, all the women coal miners came, and Hazel Dickens came and sang, and we, you know, put the song in people's playbooks, and everybody, you know, sang at the end. And Lois Scott, who is this woman who had a gun, you know, in her bra when she was on the picket lines. You know, she had been made secretary treasurer of the Black Lung Association. So she started collecting money. And so she said, I was so embarrassed. She said at Alice Tully Hall, where it was having its world premiere, all right, we want to raise money. Everybody throw their money up on the stage. And so people were throwing $5 and $10 bills on the stage at Alice Tully Hall. And I was like in a corner laughing, and she didn't realize how mic'd she was. And she said, Barbara, you stop that laughing. You take that money and you put it in your bra. We need it, girl.
That must have been in like the great moments.
But meanwhile, Don Rugoff had fallen asleep.
Wow.
And at the end, you know, when he heard all this laughter and clapping, he woke up. So he figured, oh, well, the film must be good, so I'll distribute it.
Wow. That's the best distribution story I've ever heard. Anyway, I was wondering, anybody have any questions that they would like? Any comments or nothing? Oh, yes.
Well, what I always do is I had two great editors, Jean Chen and Ann Fratto. And since I was there for every shoot, I always let them look at the footage, whoever's editing the film, and never say a word, because I know all the backstories. I know if it was hot or cold, and you know, I know all these different things. And so we looked at everything, and then we just started, you know, index cards of all the scenes that we loved and what they said, and started putting them together. And after about a year, the film started to take shape and come together. But we knew that we wanted to have her music throughout, because there weren't too many times she was actually performing in the film. And I just felt that it would carry the story. It would set the mood of what she was in.
The music, there's no score, right? It's just her music.
It's all her music. Her music is the score. Yeah. And also to her friend Megan Holcomb, I mean, who just takes her into her house and does everything for her. And that's where Sharon is right now. She's getting her green drinks again, as much as she doesn't like them.
Not the salt pork.
No, but she used to like sneak out and buy hams and put them in Megan's refrigerator. So we had all of these debates, and then she wanted to have Snickers for breakfast one morning, you know. But
was Megan in Toronto?
What? Everybody.
Wow,
yes.
That must have been incredible.
Everybody.
Somebody else? Yes. The question is, how did she record the live music?
Well, we had David Lai, who does the music for the Dap Kings, and Mike Jones, who's one of the great sound recordists ever, doing the music. And that's how we did it. And we had 5 cameras, and, you know, and then a camera backstage doing doc stuff. Yeah. And if you need to know more, I'll introduce you to Mike Jones. Oh, of course. Yes, I can. She hadn't gone to church in a really long time, and she had sort of separated, you know, her singing, because I never heard her sing the whole time she was sick, until she got well. But she just really wanted to go to church, and she went to church and the music just overtook her. And our camera person, Gary Griffin, that was all done in one take. The singing and the dancing. I mean, we did one cutaway because just to make it a little shorter, but everything. I mean, he was amazing. He was wonderful. He just watched her throughout singing and just really felt her and looked at her feet and her body as she was trying to get a breath, and then she would open up, and it was just a really, really beautiful scene. It was the first time she had sung since she had cancer. I don't know. We always wondered about that, too. I mean, we would always, scan the audience for diversity as we were filming. So it's a really good question. Yes, they were white. I mean, even at the Apollo, when she played, they were white. I don't know. Even in Augusta, there were a few people of color, but not many. But at Augusta, when I showed the film, practically the whole audience was of color. So that was great. That was wonderful. All her friends came. All her family came. Everybody. It was, I mean, you couldn't even hear the last part of the film because people were screaming and singing and yelling so much. And people got up and danced. And it was just, it was one of those beautiful things I've ever seen.
Any other? How did she meet the DAP? How did her Sharon and the DAP Kings come together?
Yeah, well, there was a job opening for a backup singer, and she was the only one that came. And she said, "Well, I can do all three, no worries." And then she finally, and she had been playing with Sandra and Star for a long time, and so she brought them into the mix, and that happened about 20 years ago. And they're like a family. I mean, for me, what this film is a lot about is sort of family and love and hope and friendship. And because that's her second film, because even when they could feel her, getting out of breath at the Beacon, they would slow it down. I mean, they all just had each other's backs, and so many years of wonderful things together.
It was interesting when I love the scene where she got angry that they didn't want to go out to dinner. Because that showed how intense their relationship
and
was.
How much she wanted to be with them for Thanksgiving family. Yes.
Yeah, that was her family.
Yes. Yeah.
I think you had another.
Yeah, well, they did other jobs. They, freelanced on other jobs. The DAP Kings are a really good band. They backed up Amy Winehouse for a long time. And Sharon got really pissed. She said, "That's my band. You come back here." But yes, they did other gigs. And they worked while she was, not working. They had to. They had families to support and children and, a life.
Does Alex have other bands, or is it just?
Yeah, he has one or two other bands, but his main band is, Sharon Jones and the DAP Kings.
Their relationship is extraordinary.
Extraordinary. He's the sweetest, gentlest, most wonderful guy. And he changed her life when he walked into it and really is trying to put her on the map. So.
Well, I think he did.
Yeah. She's a beauty. She really is.
I wish she was here with us.
She is in spirit.
Any more questions, or? It said she sang at weddings.
Yes, she had a wedding band, Good and Plenty. She had a wedding band. So she did that for a long time. And the guy who orchestrated that also came to Toronto and also came to Doc NYC, so where it showed also. It's also showing, if you want to tell anyone, at Doc NYC on the 16th and the 17th of November. So if you have friends, tell them, go see it, go see it.
Well, spread the word, everybody.
All right, and thank you.
Thanks for listening to this DGA Q&A. Check out past episodes of the podcast by subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts or on our website at dga.org/podcast. We'll have a lot more episodes coming your way over the next several weeks, so stay tuned. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to The Director's Cut on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, or our SoundCloud page so you won't miss an episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks for listening, and have a great week. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally.